Coming up on Citrus TV News, President Trump's private attorney is the subject of a criminal investigation today. Michael Cohen attempted to block prosecutors from reading documents obtained in an FBI raid. We'll tell you how this all unfolded.
And University Union announced the lineup for Mayfest earlier today on a Juice and Java special for Citrus TV. We'll have a recap on who will be performing and what we can expect from the big day.
And tensions flare at the UN Security Council as the world figures out how to respond to a suspected chemical weapons attack in Syria. Talking Points analyst Jack Watson joins us in studio and tells us how this could mean moving forward.
This is Citrus TV News live at 6, your campus news leader.
And the results are in. Voting for Student Association leadership positions concluded yesterday, and Gufran Salih and Kyle Rosenblum will be the next year's SA president and vice president. Good evening. I'm Nicole DeMentri.
And I'm Noah Eagle. The pair campaigned on several pillars, including diversity and inclusion, community engagement, and transparency within the administration. Salih has not previously held a position within Student Association and brought an outsider's perspective to the three-person race. As president, Salih says she hopes to encourage an environment where there's an open communication.
Because there's over 15,000 people on this campus. That's so many lifetimes and perspectives that we don't understand, and it's good to open that line of communication between the students and Student Association.
The Mayfest lineup is out. University Union announced the slate of artists performing in an exclusive special with Juice and Java this morning. The organizers also explained changes coming to the concert and activities students can take advantage of during the day. Check out the full special on Citrus TV website. UU organizers were excited to announce their artists. Take a look.
Thank you guys so much for being here, and without further ado, let's look at this year's Mayfest lineup. Who's playing?
So we're really excited to say that we have Quinn 92 headlining our show.
We have YBN Namir as our direct support.
And Orange Calderon, who's a DJ, will be our opener.
Tomorrow is your chance to destroy a car. That's right, Syracuse University is hosting the inaugural South Campus car demolition at the Goldstein parking lot. Participants will have 1 minute to sledgehammer and completely destroy the cars. It's a charity event for the Hendricks Chapel Food Pantry, Disaster Relief for Puerto Rico, and Syracuse Habitat for Humanity. It costs $5 or 5 cans of food to participate. First Year Players is performing their spring musical this weekend, and Citrus TV reporter Anna Azallion is live in the Shine Student Center to tell us about how the show is getting going. And Anna, it's getting close to showtime. How are things looking over there?
Yeah, Nicole, like you said, I'm live here in the Shine Student Center. We're behind me in Goldstein Auditorium. FYP is hard at work preparing for their 25th show, and that show is Young Frankenstein. It's based off a Mel Brooks movie from the 70s and tells the story of Frankenstein's creation. Now, FYP is completely student-run. They've been preparing for this weekend since January. The entire cast and crew for the show are freshmen or transfer students. And this is actually the first year that their pit is made up of freshmen and transfer students completely as well. The show is happening this Friday and tomorrow, so tickets are still on sale in the Shine box office. If you want to come see the show, you can still get those tickets. Head down to Shine. I'm live in the Shine Student Center. For now, back to you guys in studio.
Well, what the perfect Friday the 13th show. Thank you so much, Anna.
Newhouse's head of public relations is leaving for Elon University. Rochelle Ford has been named the new dean of School of the Communications at Elon University. She will be replacing Paul Parson, who founded the school in 2001. Her toughest task will be raising the program to a level of national recognition and also improving relations with corporations. Ford also served as a professor and provost faculty fellow at SU. And the New York State Fairgrounds are making progress on the construction of the Expo Center. Crews are about halfway done with their work on the 110,000 square foot facility. Now, the Expo Center cost $60 million to build. This project, as well as improvements to the orange parking lot, are expected to be completed by the start of the fair in August.
Syracuse University students in the Museum Studies program on campus have created a new exhibit. Here in studio is Citrus TV reporter Carmella Boykin with more.
Guys, that's right. The gallery entitled Crisis, a visual exploration of conflict, focuses on bringing relatable issues to life through art. I spoke to Professor Saludi and some of his students to learn the work behind selecting a theme and the creation process.
we decided we wanted to do something that was really compact, something that people could really relate to. We came up with a lot of different ideas, themes about walls, themes about struggle, and then as an umbrella we decided that this idea of conflict was really going to be the overarching theme.
Because conflict has many different aspects, students chose different perspectives that spoke to them. Assistant preparator Mary Meckley explained the process behind her selections.
I immediately went to think of the physical conflict, so one of the sections that you'll see in the show. And that just stems from my background. My undergrad is in history, so I know, military history, and that's what I was interested in. There's several pieces within the physical conflict section that I picked out.
One of those selections includes a massive red plane that stands out in the gallery.
The size of the plane, I think it represents, the size of conflict, just how physical it can get, how big it is.
Grad student Emma Geiler says the gallery topic can create discomfort, but is an important part of self-reflection.
Whether it's for myself or somebody else who's seeing this, I want them to come face to face with things that they might have issues with and might make them a little bit uncomfortable. Because I feel like by doing that, you get to figure out the root of what the problem is, and that can help you come to terms with some of the things that are happening.
The students hope this exhibition can create overall a greater conversation about issues the artwork represents. The collection is currently on display in the Schaefer Art Gallery and will be open through May 13th. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Carmella. Students and faculty will gather at Hendricks Chapel this Sunday for Power to the People, an event commemorating the 50th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. The goal of the event is to engage the campus in continuing the legacy of Dr. King and the freedom rights movement. The event features keynote conversation, a candlelight vigil, and a special display of Dr. King's final speech. The event begins at 6 p.m. in the chapel. And the funeral for 4 of the victims in the Fitch Street fire has been set for tomorrow morning. The ceremony will be open to the public and held at 10 a.m. at St. Lucy's Catholic Church. The police say that the fire was caused by a relative who set 2 fires in the house. 3 of the victims were under 18 years old. And Nicole, they say that with each year you gain a little bit more wisdom and you just become a little wiser overall.
I have heard that, and if that's true, Josh Feinblatt must be a genius.
He must be a genius, right?
And we want to send him a happy belated birthday wish to Josh. He turned 21 2 days ago.
Well, Josh, I'll give you my warmest wishes only if you can correctly predict the weather in your upcoming forecast. What do you have?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the birthday wish, and I'll try my best on this forecast. 49 degrees right now outside. No sun to be found outside, and not too windy, so I don't know if I need to pull out my wind impression for you guys today, but maybe later in the show. Taking a look around central New York, you're going to get a variety of different temperatures up in Fulton and Rome, 49, 44, and all the way down in Elmira, Binghamton in the 70s. I know, I'm not pulling your leg on that one. A wide variety based off the sun and wind that we are having. And taking a look tonight, it's going to start raining at around 2 a.m. We're going to talk a little bit more about it later if you're going out. But 20% chance of rain currently, but it's going to start raining later in the show. It will feel like 15. It's going to get cold tonight. I have much more coming up on Going Out and prediction for Mayfest coming up later in the show.
All right, Josh, I guess that one's a happy. Maybe you'll get the full happy birthday if you do better in your full 5-day forecast. But coming up, protests and tensions rise over the deaths of Ecuadorian journalists.
And hundreds are being forced to flee their homes in Oklahoma. Find out why after the break.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it.
Since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
If you see news happening on campus, in Syracuse, or across the nation, call the Citrus TV Newsroom, 315-443-1177, or tweet at CitrusTV News, your campus news leader.
Welcome back. Hundreds of people are being forced to evacuate their homes as wildfires sweep the state of Oklahoma.
One hunter was found after going missing when the fire spread to Dewey County. He was taken to a local hospital and is currently in an unknown condition.
Almost 800 homes are in danger and more than 100,000 acres have already been destroyed. Police believe the fires have caused more damage in areas they can't access, and almost a quarter of the damages happened in less than one day.
Excerpts from former FBI Director James Comey's book reveal highly critical remarks of the president.
The book is set to release next week, but portions of it have already been leaked.
One excerpt discusses allegations of the president being with prostitutes in Moscow who peed on each other. Trump responded to Comey's criticism on Twitter by calling Comey a, quote, weak and untruthful slimeball.
The Justice Department has announced that President Donald Trump's personal attorney has been under criminal investigation for months.
Officials say they have been looking into Michael Cohen's business dealings in New York. This comes after Cohen's attorney and Trump's attorney fought with the U.S. Attorney's Office over Cohen's raid.
Cohen did not appear in court on Friday and has not been charged with any crimes.
Also, President Trump has been pardoned the former chief of staff for Dick Cheney.
Scooter Libby is being pardoned for his conviction of lying to investigators and obstruction of justice during the 2003 leak of CIA agent Valerie Plame's identity.
Now, after the investigation, then President Bush lowered the sentence but never pardoned Libby. Conservatives have claimed the conviction was politically motivated.
The Ecuadorian government has received pictures of the 3 kidnapped journalists today showing they've been killed.
The 3 journalists and their driver were taken at the Colombian border more than 2 weeks ago.
Protesters have gathered on the border every night to protest the loss of their people and the rising violence in the area. Authorities say the kidnapping and violence is the work of FARC dissident groups. Violence continues to escalate in the protests at the Gaza-Israeli border.
One Palestinian was killed and over 200 are wounded from the Israeli army's open fire.
According to the Gaza Health Ministry, more than 10,000 people protested along the border, burning tires and Israeli flags. Demonstrators enter their 3rd week of protesting.
The UN Security Council met today in an emergency meeting to discuss a suspected chemical weapons attack by the Syrian government. Take a listen to what U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley had to say.
Our president has not yet made a decision about possible actions in Syria. But should the United States and our allies decide to act in Syria, it will be in defense of a principle on which we all agree. It will be in defense of a bedrock international norm that benefits all nations.
And here to tell us more is Talking Points analyst Jack Watson. Jack?
Thanks, Nicole. You heard it from the UN ambassador. Today, the United States, France, and Britain lobbied the United Nations Security Council for military action in Syria. This comes following the latest chemical weapons accusation against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's government, this time in the Syrian town of Douma. The U.S. maintains the Assad regime continues to use chemical weapons in the 7-year-long Syrian civil war, and French President Emmanuel Macron claims that he has evidence that the Syrian government carried out the attacks. Russia, however, is alleging that the United Kingdom staged the gas attacks, a claim that was promptly denied by the United Kingdom as, quote, a blatant lie. Russia both politically and militarily backs the Assad government, while the U.S., UK, and France all either oppose Assad or back Syrian opposition forces. According to a report today, U.S. President Donald Trump is unhappy with his advisor's suggestions on the Syrian conflict.
Okay, Jack, what are the options the UN is considering in this entire thing?
Well, the UN, if the Security General of the UN is any indication, they want diplomacy and they want both of the sides, both U.S. and Russia, to act it out. The UN Security General actually called this somewhat of a revival of the Cold War, which is certainly not what the rhetoric that you want to be using in a situation like this.
No. For sure, and it seems like it's a little bit of a different kind of situation. So what makes it unique?
Well, the fact that it's we're right now in April 2018, it's a little different than it was when Russia entered the conflict in 2015 and when the United States entered the conflict in 2014. That main difference, at least in my opinion, is that that ISIS is diminishing both in Iraq and in Syria. They have some territory in the eastern and northeastern parts of Syria, but they're a faction that's going away, and now center stage is between the Syrian opposition forces and the Syrian government backed by Russia.
So could we see further escalation of this conflict?
You know, they're certainly working to make sure that doesn't happen. But of course, Russia has said that they're not ruling out war, but it's going to be a very crucial situation for what I believe to be the biggest challenge of the Trump administration when it comes to foreign policy yet.
All right. Well, Jack, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And coming up, our own Josh Feinblatt is in studio with our full weather forecast. Don't go anywhere.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees?
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
From the CitrusTV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
Welcome back to Citrus TV News. Right now, outside cloudy, 49 degrees, and it got up to 46 degrees today. If you're going out tonight, here's the temperatures that is going to be. 47 starting out at around 9 p.m. And it's going to dip down gradually until we get around 3 a.m., 43 degrees. 2 a.m. is when it will start to rain. So if you're going to be out after then, please bring a raincoat. That's my suggestion to you. And if you take a look at our rideshare surge prediction, it's going to be very high tonight. We have a lot of sorority and fraternity formals going on, rain coming in, and it's Friday the 13th. So I think people are very wary of walking by black cats or under ladders or something of that nature. We've got precipitation coming in for the next few days. It's going to be coming in from the west, coming in towards Syracuse. We've got not just rain, but also slush and freezing rain. So depending on what it could be, depending on the temperatures that it's going to get down to. Tomorrow, our Saturday planner, it's going to be 41 degrees, and in the morning it's going to dip down later into the day around 6 p.m., 35 degrees, and the high of 42 tomorrow, 72% chance of rain. And now a way too early Mayfest prediction. Right now it's going to be a little bit cloudy, 53 degrees. We've had much worse, but we've also had better. And taking a look at our winter weather advisory, we going to see that this is the area with the winter weather advisory. We're looking at sleet, rain, everything like that from 2 p.m. tonight, 2 p.m. Saturday until 2 p.m. Sunday. And taking a look at our 5-day forecast, just more rain, more and more rain. Hopefully, Nick Dugan on Sports has some better news for us about the spring football team.
Thanks, Josh. Coming up in sports, Dino Babers and company wrap up its spring season with a scrimmage tonight. We'll have a live report from the Dome. Plus, men's and women's lacrosse are into the home stretch of their seasons. I've got your full weekend preview on the other side of the break.
What are you, superheroes?
Just four brothers who hate bullies and love this city.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Got a quarter?
And now, your CitrusTV Sports Report.
Hello and welcome to sports. I'm Nick Dugan. Syracuse football has been hard at work over the last 5+ weeks getting ready for this fall. It all comes to an end tonight with the spring showcase in the Carrier Dome, which is where our very own Zach Lang is standing by. Zach, thank you so much for joining us. Just about 30 minutes until the event begins. What's the atmosphere around the dome looking like at the moment?
Thanks, Nick. The atmosphere is pretty nice out here. It's a little quiet, but a couple people are starting to file in. And on the other side of the dome, a lot of people all around Syracuse are coming to get their first sample of Syracuse's 2018 football team.
All right, yeah, and Zach, last year that scrimmage kicked off at around 10 a.m. on a Saturday with a four-quarter scrimmage, about 12-minute running quarters. This year it's going to be a little different. What are some of those new features that fans can expect to see this year?
Now, something that's new that they're actually doing this time around is they're having an autograph session right after the game. So once the game concludes, a select number of players are going to stay on the turf, and people are allowed to come out of the stands and onto the turf and will be allowed to get autographs from some of those players.
Yeah, and some shuffling of the roster since that last game against BC in November, Zach, which isn't too surprising. So who should the fans be on the lookout for tonight heading into the fall season?
Now, a couple of players have not only switched positions, but have switched sides of the ball. Chris Elmore played offense last season and will be now lining up on the defensive line. Antoine Cordy was a defensive back last season and was initially listed this season as a wide receiver, although he's mainly been getting snaps on defense, so he will return back to his natural position as defensive back. And another thing to watch out for is the quarterback situation. Now, Eric Dungy is probably not going to have a lot of minutes, some limited time there, but another person to look out for is redshirt freshman Tommy DeVito. He's going to be getting some minutes at quarterback. And another good storyline to watch out for is quarterback Rex Culpepper, who is currently undergoing chemotherapy for testicular cancer. So it'll be good to see him out on the field playing football, guys.
Great stuff as always, Zach. Thank you so much. Orange football will begin its 2018 campaign, and they'll be back on the Hill September the 8th to take on Wagner. And when college football does return, a new kickoff rule will be in effect. The NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel has approved the proposal for players to fair catch a kickoff inside the 25-yard line. The ball will then be placed at the 25 as if it were a touchback. This change comes in hopes of addressing the rising safety concerns surrounding one of the more dangerous plays in football. And despite the loss to Cornell on Tuesday, Orange men's lacrosse remains 7th in the polls. That's because the new polls don't come out until Monday. So to avoid sliding in those rankings, SU will look to bounce back against North Carolina on Saturday. The Tar Heels started a hot 6-0, but have since dropped 6 straight. SU struggled offensively against the Big Red, but could have an easier time against a UNC defense that ranks 48th in the country. The win would also be John Desko's 243rd, which would make him the 23rd all-time on that D1 coaching wins list. And the head man is confident that Tuesday's loss was just a blip on the radar.
I feel that we've come a long ways. Again, against Cornell, I thought we took a half step back. I wish we kept going forward in that game. But I think that the more games that we've played, the more comfortable our players are on the field. I think we're playing more composed than we were early in the year. And it really comes down to confidence. You know, the more that we've played, along with the winning, has given a lot of the younger guys confidence.
The men will face off at 4 p.m. tomorrow, and Gary Gate and the women's squad will also be in action tomorrow afternoon. also against UNC. A bit of a different story in this matchup. The Tar Heels come in ranked 5th and have won 3 straight. The Orange, on the other hand, have yet to win an ACC contest and have lost 4 of its last 6. Opening draw is set for 12 o'clock noon. On the ice, the Syracuse Crunch wrap up regular season play this weekend, starting with the Utica Comets tonight. The Crunch has locked up the 2nd seed in the North Division and will play the 3 seed, which could be either the Comets or Saturday's opponent, the Rochester Amerks. Right now, Rochester sits 2 points ahead of Utica for that 3rd spot in the division. Puck drop from the War Memorial is at 7 p.m. In the MLB, both the Mets and the Yankees are in action tonight. The Mets will be home in Flushing to take on the Brewers. The team is still at the top of the NL East with a 10-1 record, including back-to-back sweeps of division opponents. Meanwhile, the Yanks will be in Detroit to take on the Tigers. If you recall, the last time these two teams faced off in Comerica Park, there were some fireworks between New York catcher Austin Romine and Detroit slugger Miguel Cabrera. Keep an eye on that. First pitch for both games is at 7:10. Finally, in the association, the playoffs get underway tomorrow afternoon with the Spurs taking on the defending champs. Although the Warriors finished the season just 7-10 without point guard Steph Curry. Wizards Raptors are up next, followed by the 3rd-seeded Philadelphia 76ers squaring off against the Miami Heat. No Joel Embiid in Game 1 for Philly, though. The nightcap will feature New Orleans and Portland. All games will be on the ESPN family of networks. That does it for sports. Stick around. We'll be right back.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
Thanks for joining us on CitrusTV News tonight, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for all of your latest news updates. Be sure to check out also our website at citrustv.com. I'm Nicole DeMentri.
And I'm Noah Eagle. Have a great night, Syracuse.